Talking about the government shutdown today, and I am happy to be joined by Congressman Sean Duffy from Northwest Wisconsin. He is in Washington, D.C., talking with us. Good morning, Congressman. Thanks for being here.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Let's talk a little bit first about what led to this shutdown. The Affordable Care Act was passed 4 years ago by Congress into law. The Supreme Court upheld the Affordable Care Act and its constitutionality over a year ago. Isn't it time for congressional Republicans to give up this fight and say we lost this and let the country move on?
Well, yeah, thanks for that question, because first of all, we're concerned about the impact that this law is having on our Wisconsin families. Number one, we're seeing health care premiums increase. For a middle-aged, healthy man, we're seeing his health care premiums increase by $2,000 in Wisconsin. So that's one concern. We're seeing people go from full-time jobs to part-time jobs because of this law. But you bring up a good point. How do we move beyond this? And let me just tell you what we've done. First, we in the House voted to defund Obamacare. I didn't think that was going to get much traction, and it didn't. But then we voted for a one-year delay of Obamacare, and the president said no to that. But most recently, before this government shutdown, we voted in the House to fund the government, and we asked for two very simple and easy things. The first was we said, Mr. President, if Obamacare is good enough for members of Congress and is good enough for the American people, it should also be good enough for you, Jay Carney, the Vice President, and the whole administration. You shouldn't have your own separate health care plan. You should join Congress and America in Obamacare. That's the one thing we asked for. The other is the president has made numerous changes to Obamacare after the Supreme Court made his decision. One of them was he gave a one-year delay in the tax for big businesses. They came to the Hill, they lobbied, they had a lot of money. He gave that delay. We've said just give that one-year tax delay to individuals.
But isn't that
fairly with big business? So.
Isn't it his prerogative to give that and make those delays? I mean, it was Congress that passed this law. And, you know, if he wants to make those delays, isn't that his prerogative rather than being threatened to make other delays without passing a budget?
So Greg, two points. One, it's not his prerogative. When you change a law, it goes through Congress. You don't do it unilaterally, number one. But number two, listen, my constituents don't have lobbyists and big business money in Washington. All they have is me. So I think it's only fair. We talk about fairness and equality. It's only fair that the individual be treated just like the business in delaying the tax. Now, to be clear, Obamacare is up. It's running. The exchanges are open. There's still a subsidy. All we're saying is don't tax individuals. Give them the same treatment as big businesses. And also, listen, I think that's not the real rub. The rub is the administration, the president, doesn't want to join Obamacare. Why does he can even come with a counterproposal and say, all right, you guys, I don't want to do the individual mandate. I just want to give the businesses their special treatment. But what I will do is I'll make the administration go into Obamacare just like you members of Congress and just like other Americans. He hasn't even offered that.
But in reality, don't you have to accept the fact that at this point, he is not going to make any changes because you want them? If he's going to make changes, he would make them. But you have to, at this point, be accepting of the reality, right, that he is not going to back down and make changes on this simply because congressional Republicans want him to.
But is it so? But Greg, that's not a reasonable position. So listen, I'm the 10th of 11 kids. I come from a big family. The only way big families work is when they talk to each other, they work together, they have a dialogue. So if the president says basically, listen, I'm not gonna talk to anybody. It's my way or the highway. This morning, or actually a couple days ago, there was a comment made by the administration saying we're winning. We don't care how long this government shuts down. I mean, this is not about winning and losing. This is about the American people and doing what's right.
At the end of the day, though,
listen, but go ahead.
At the end of the day, congressional Republicans are likely going to have to surrender on this, are they not? I mean, do you foresee any way the president is going to back down and give you any kind of leverage on this?
So, Greg, you ask the American people. I say, the president doesn't want to be in Obamacare, or the administration is not going to be in Obamacare. They get treated differently than the rest of America. That is not the way our government was founded. Everybody should be treated equally under the law. And if you think America will stand when they know that Barack Obama and the administration isn't in Obamacare, I'm going to tell you what, they're going to be angry and they'll go, Republicans, that's all they want? They're just fighting to make sure everyone's treated equally, those in the administration, those in Congress, and those Americans. I think they'll have a revolt and go, join this great bill, Mr. President. Come on in.
So to be clear at this point,
Greg, we're gonna,
To be clear at this point, congressional Republicans are no longer saying they want a one-year delay of the Affordable Care Act in any way.
No. Our current position was all we want is a delay in the tax for the individual, similar to the delay that big businesses had. The exchanges are still open. The subsidies are still there. It's just the tax treatment of individuals as it compares to the exemption that big businesses had.
You're saying the penalties, in other words,
treated.
if you want to opt out, you shouldn't have to pay that penalty. That's what you're saying.
That's right. But if you want to get in, you can still get in. That's all we've asked for. This is the most bipartisan solution we can come by. But I think they want to have a shutdown because they think it's good politics, when I think it's bad for America. But Greg, I think what's going to happen now as we look forward, we're coming up on the debt limit, and we're going to start to have another conversation too about, well, what do we do on spending? We have a $17 trillion debt. We're borrowing anywhere from a little more than $1 trillion to a little less than $1 trillion a year. This isn't sustainable. We want to see what kind of reforms we can get in the way we spend and in our entitlement system. But we have to work together on all these issues so everyone can walk away as a winner and the American people get a government